Well, when it comes to the women's vote, President Obama and Mitt Romney appear to be neck and neck now. With less than 3 weeks until the election, both candidates, of course, are looking to win over female voters.
We made sure that insurance companies are providing women with contraception. He supported legislation that would turn those decisions over to a woman's employer.
This president has failed America's women. They've suffered in terms of getting jobs. They've suffered in terms of falling into poverty. That's what the women of America are concerned about, and the answers are coming from us and not from Barack Obama.
So as the candidates enter the home stretch, what do women voters?
Women are over half this country and its workforce.
The real war on women is being waged by the president's failed economic policy.
That's a pocketbook issue for women.
The issue women care about most is the economy.
Women are not an interest group. You shouldn't be treated that way.
Can't we find some women that are also qualified?
Women are not some monolithic block.
They brought us whole binders full of women.
We don't have to collect a bunch of binders to find qualified, talented, driven young women.
Half of my cabinet and senior officials were women.
I want my daughters paid just like somebody else's sons are paid for.
Yes, he is running for president, and he wants your digits. Look, folks, you can tell him what you want to tell him. Tell him what's on your mind, because right now the candidates are listening to you. Don't bring up your ex. It would help. Now, it's all about you this election, even though actually people tend to discount women because they're still underrepresented as CEOs and in legislative bodies. They're underpaid as employees. True enough. Female voters, though, are so important to both of these candidates. Why? Because they account for 51% of the population, and women are more likely to vote than men. Also, as women in general are making gains, black women certainly making gains as well. One example, take education. Look at this now. Out of all black college graduates, take a look at that screen. Black women earn 68% of all associate's degrees. They own 66% of all the bachelor's degrees. But look at this, 71% of all master's degrees earned by black women. Again.
Women are viewed as the deciding factor in this upcoming election, and with only 18 days to go, both campaigns are stepping up efforts to win women voters here in this battleground state of Ohio. Wooing women voters in the swing states. That's what both campaigns are trying to do. President Barack Obama's camp has launched the Women Decide 2012 initiative. Actress Alfre Woodard and White House advisor Valerie Jarrett took a tour across Ohio Friday, trying to win women voters for President Obama.
We have an advocate in President Obama, unlike any advocate we've had before. He was raised by a single mom, working to put food on the table, making sure she expanded his horizons, and we're all getting the benefit of that now.
Having a president who's willing to fight for equal pay for them is important. He believes in a woman's right to choose what to do with her body. Strongly believes in funding Planned Parenthood, believes that only, it's between a woman and her doctor, not a woman and her insurance company or a woman and her employer.
But Mitt Romney's campaign released this statement to 2 News about President Obama, saying in part, quote, his policies have made it harder for women across the country to start businesses, get good jobs, or see their children get an affordable college education, end quote. The Republican presidential nominees camp adds that since President Obama took office, 5.5 million women have struggled to find jobs. Stephanie Prater is a single mother of an 11-month-old who says she is one of those women, and that's why she's voting for Romney.
I myself have a child. I know how hard it is. I'm struggling as a mother to support my child financially, and the jobs, the good jobs aren't out there. Yes, I could get a job serving or making minimum wage, but when you have a family you need more than that.
Both campaigns are urging women to exercise their right to vote
Google Hangout
early.
was all about women voters. Nora O'Donnell hosted. Nora?
That's right. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, both sides working hard, of course, to attract women voters, and our panelists from this week's Hangout totally agree.
I would say independent and suburban women particularly are looking at both parties with a jaundiced eye. Who can stimulate the economy?
But people are going to dig further and ask very specific questions. How do you feel about the Violence Against Women Act? How do you feel about the Paycheck Fairness Act? How do you feel about equal pay for equal work? And I think all of those things are very important to any woman who cares about the economy.
It's very puzzling to me that then you have all of these Republicans across the board in all these different states talking about social issues, and when in fact that gives heat to the whole issue of that there is a Republican war on women.
Leslie, you want to take a whack at that?
Women feel there's a lot of underemployment. And that personal feeling that this economy is not as strong as it could be because of this president directly falls at the feet of the president's policies, positions, and that's the deciding factor when they're in the voting booth.
And Ann Romney said that she hopes that her husband chooses a female vice president. I guess the first question is, if Mitt Romney doesn't choose a woman, what are people going to say? That he doesn't listen to his wife?
It's not just because there's a woman on a ticket that the women are going to vote for that woman. Right. It's about the policies that those candidates are standing by.
Tonight is turn that around, give people a sense of who he really is, how he's been tested, and why people can trust him to take the reins at the White House.
And what about women? Where does the gender gap stand right now?
Well, right now, Mitt Romney is doing okay with married women, but he's well behind with women overall. He's falling back particularly with single women.
There's been a lot of debate about the war on women, but that's just a tactic by both parties used in the war for women. In this election, more than any other since the ratification of the 19th Amendment, women voters will be the deciding factor for Obama. And female entertainers will influence those voters more than you think. The DNC handily beat the Republicans in female star power. Ann Romney and Condoleezza Rice hammered on economic issues. But the Democrats took it a step further. They featured not only the requisite speeches from the First Lady and women politicos, but the Dems also highlighted influential female celebrities such as a musical performance by superstar diva Mary J. Blige, and speeches by Avenger Scarlett Johansson, campaign co-chair, entrepreneur, and desperate housewife Eva Longoria, and TV star Kerry Washington, extolling the virtues of Obama's first term. 4 of the most popular and successful female entertainers in the country all rallying around one candidate is nothing to sneeze at. All right, stay with me on this. While the president holds a double-digit lead over Romney for overall female support, women don't necessarily vote together. White women as a whole haven't voted Democratic since 1964, whereas young, urban, and educated women do, which is why the appearance of these very popular and ethnically diverse female entertainers does matter. They help to bridge that gap between women voters' race, age, and location for Obama. In their speeches, they paired mentions of social issues like health care, the DREAM Act, college, and gay rights, while also touting their modest upbringings. See, they're just like you and me. Look, women will be the X factor of this election, no doubt about it. This year, there are 11 battleground states where females substantially outvote men, including Ohio and Florida. And as for female entertainers' influence over women voters, it's significant. Remember Oprah's endorsement of Obama in 2008? Some economists estimate she netted him over 1 million votes. Yeah, it's no empty chair, but it is arithmetic. All right, so what do you think?
Good Morning America and anchor this week, George Stephanopoulos. George, the shifting season, these poll numbers, women, what does it mean?
We're seeing something really remarkable here, Diane. Last week, we go to the Republican convention. Mitt Romney comes in with the lowest favorability ratings of any challenger in modern times. Now we're seeing President Obama come in with the lowest favorability of any incumbent in modern times. The voters are saying we're not wild about either one of these candidates, but they do have to make a choice. And this is what's going to be emphasized on this floor this week. Look at these numbers again. President Obama among women, 46 favorable, 50 unfavorable. But then look at Mitt Romney. He's not doing any better. 41 favorable, 48 unfavorable. 41 favorable, 48 unfavorable. And that's why Democrats are going to be emphasizing the choice right here. Even though Mitt Romney improved his numbers a little bit last week, he's still behind.
The woman comes forth with this hilarious claim that she's having so much sex. What does that make her?
If it's an honest rape, I would give them a shot of estrogen.
Do I believe Supreme Court should overturn Roe v. Wade? Yes. I do.
I would advocate that any doctor that performs an abortion should be criminally charged for doing so.
It simply says ultrasounds will be given to the woman.
Ultrasound uses high-frequency sound waves
to decide what she should do. I believe this is something that helps respect the dignity of women.
What does that make her? It makes her a slut.
For breast cancer research and access to care.
Virginia mothers Andrea McClellan and Susan Lilly are targets for Mitt Romney and President Obama.
Being a woman's not a pre-existing condition.
This president has failed America's women.
McClellan, who used to work for a Fortune 500 company, says she doesn't have a clear picture of Romney's positions.
Women's issues for me are very important. I think with regard to the economy, I think Obama's got a better plan.
This mother of three believes the president's Affordable Care Act will lower costs for women and is also concerned about the GOP's stand on abortion.
It's like an issue out of Mad Men. Are we in 2012? Why are we talking about these things right now? This is my mother's generation. This isn't my generation.
President Obama still holds a comfortable lead among women in Virginia, but recent polls show Romney is closing the gap in battleground states.
Susan Lilly is voting for Romney. She believes his economic plan will mean more opportunity for women.
I think bringing economic freedom to as many people as possible is the best way to do that.
A mother of two and cancer survivor, Lilly is also happy with her health insurance and concerned about losing it under the Affordable Care Act.
I think people do not understand what will happen once health care is so centralized and focused in Washington, D.C., because that is going to take away choice.
Both women will see the candidates try to change their minds over the next 19 days. Susan.
92% of the job losses since the president took office were lost by women. PolitiFact has checked this and said you actually have to go back to 2007. At the beginning of the recession, you'll see it's only 40% were lost by women. President Obama has said that Democrats have a better case to make to women voters. I'm curious, under either scenario, 92% losses or 40% losses, is either of those a good case to make for women voters in this economy?
Well, I'm not familiar with the percentages. I'm certainly not very familiar with what charge was made here. The fact of the matter is, because of the terrible recession, the worst recession in generations, the worst recession in anyone's lifetime here, the worst recession since the Great Depression, a great many jobs were lost. And jobs were lost by men and women, Americans across the country. What is absolutely the case is that from the very first action he took as president by signing into law the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, this president has been focused on the essential role that women play in our economy, the essential role that women play in terms of education, and all the steps that we need to take to strengthen our own economy by focusing on the role that women play within it. Again, I'm not sure what charge is it that someone's attempting to make here, but the president's record on women in the economy is very strong, and it begins with literally the first.
So, what has Barack Obama done for women voters in the last 4 years, and can he capture their support this year? And what impact might the debate over contraception have? We're joined from New York by Emily Douglas, senior editor at The Nation magazine. Here in the studio, we're joined by Sabrina Schaefer, executive director of the conservative group The Independent Women's Forum, and Kim Gandhi, vice president of the Feminist Majority Foundation. Sabrina Schaefer, then, how did the issue of reproductive rights come to the fore this year? Wasn't the whole issue supposed to be the economy?
Yeah, I thought so. And actually, it's kind of interesting that we're having this whole discussion about a war on women
when the Wall Street Journal is reporting today that the economy is actually doing much better. Unemployment has dropped down into under 8%. There's a lot of signs that we're moving in the right direction, but I think that in the background, Democrats know that in 2010, the Republicans, for the first time in 20 years, did close the gender gap. And so I think that that has been sort of looming as we approach November, and there's concern now, how do we make sure we keep women on our side?
Now, that's fascinating, Kim Gownie, because actually the conventional narrative is this is a self-inflicted blow perhaps to the Republicans. They began talking about issues like contraception and in fact have distracted themselves from the economy.
Yeah, I don't think it was a Democrat that introduced the vaginal ultrasound bill in Virginia. I don't think any Democrats made Rush Limbaugh call Sandra Fluke a slut or a prostitute. I really don't think the Democrats were behind any of that.
Well, they're taking advantage of it now.
I think it is, well they should, because the women of this country need to know the potential of what's out there, and they need to know where these candidates stand. They need to know that Mitt Romney's talking about getting rid of Planned Parenthood.
Of course, Rush Limbaugh does not represent the Republican Party, nor does he represent all conservatives, and he's far from alone. On the left, we have plenty, from the Bill Maher to the Keith Olbermanns, who have been just absolutely hideous in their comments towards women, and both women on the left and on the right. So,
Emily Douglas, though, then it's not just on the campaign trail that we're seeing these issues come to the fore. It is the record number of anti-abortion laws being passed. Is this part of some wider social phenomenon, a sudden flowering of conservatism and the religious right on social issues, or is there something else afoot?
Well, it does seem as though Republicans like Mitt Romney feel the need to run to the right. And so I think that he's trying to prove that he's, a choice that the religious conservatives can stand behind. And so he hasn't condemned Limbaugh. I just wanted to make that point to Sabrina's earlier
Rush
point.
Limbaugh is the sort of the shock jock DJ of the right who, says pretty inflammatory things from attacking President Obama and liberals of any stripe and so forth. Right? Yes. Go on.
Right, that's correct. So I think it's not isolated. This attack on women isn't isolated to a small faction of the Republican Party. I think they're making that their mission, and I don't think that they have an agenda on jobs. I don't think they have an agenda on employment, and therefore they're going for what they think riles up their base. But I think if we've seen reporting that women, moderate, independent women, are taking a second look at Obama in the wake of these attacks. I think they know that Republicans don't have their health interests at heart.
Clearly, a lot of this does come, though, from the 2010 legislative victories of the Republicans, both at the congressional and local level. It's interesting, we've often talked about how following that, a lot of very similar legislation started appearing on voter IDs or to try and reduce union influence. And then that's often traced back to some sort of centralized brain trust where some of this legislation is coming from. Is there any evidence that there's a similar narrative at play here on women's reproductive health, Kim?
Oh, there's no question that we see these same kinds of bills being introduced over and over. I think there are 8 states that have these personhood bills that essentially would make the fertilized eggs rights compete with the rights of the woman and would in fact outlaw some forms of birth control and a variety of issues that were so serious that even the very conservative voters in Mississippi defeated it. But that hasn't kept it from coming up in other states, as well as these ultrasound bills like the one in Virginia have passed in some states and are coming up in other states. So these definitely are spreading around the country.
But I think Kim's pointing out something that's so important, which is why we don't want government in the business of health care. I mean, I think that ultimately this kind of overreach goes both ways. And so once the cat is out of the bag, it may be that you wanted the left wanted something like Obamacare, but then guess what? They don't like it when conservatives are, very socially conservatives are in power, and suddenly they don't like the kind of legislation that they might try to pass through. I mean, I'm opposed to any kind of government intervention in healthcare. I think the best thing that we could strive for is individual, patient-centered, choice in healthcare. And so all of these
utter privatization, though.
Yeah, I want a free market in all of this.
It's interesting, though. So these issues were already then pretty important going into this election cycle. I think what's been fascinating, though, is how it's moved beyond, though, abortion and the usual fault lines to issues like contraception. Republican presidential candidate Rick Santorum in particular has provoked debate because of his comments on this issue, which seemed to expand the whole the whole framework of the discussion. This is what Santorum had to say.
Barack is the son of a single mother who struggled to put herself through school and pay the bills. That's who your president is. Barack is the grandson of a woman who woke up before dawn every day to catch a bus to her job at the bank. When so many women are now breadwinners in our families, women's success in this economy is the key to family success. We know that. God bless.
Barack Obama, and then we bring Michelle in. 2016.
Their reactions tonight, there is another audience. They're trying to reach women voters because their numbers are on the move. The president has long counted on women, at times leading by double digits. But with Mitt Romney gaining ground with women, one new poll showing the president up by just 1 point among women in the battlegrounds, tonight expect a real push to reach voters like the women we've met on the campaign trail, women who are wavering. And you haven't made up your mind. You're one of the few. Yes, you are who they want.
Yes, I know.
We met Brenda Lovell and Debbie Satelli in Ohio. Both voted for the president 4 years ago, but both say they need to see a different president show up tonight. What were you asking yourself as you were watching him last time?
Why aren't you responding?
And we met this mom, Amber Singer, who told us she is pro-choice, an Obama sticker on the pickup truck. And we met her heading into a Romney rally, and this is why. Did you watch the first debate?
Yes, I did.
And what did you make of his performance?
I turned the TV off. I did. I turned the TV off. I was a little upset and angry.
But all of these women told me they will watch again tonight, a make-or-break second chance for the president, as the Romney campaign continues to echo what Ann Romney has long argued about women.
I love it that women are talking to me about the economy.
Women are talking about the economy. I love that.
Social issues like women's health and a woman's right to choose did not come up at the first debate, and the Obama team quickly up with this ad afterward.
One thing we must remember is this.
I'll cut off funding to Planned Parenthood.
In the end, it's often about who connects. Then Governor Bill Clinton and a voter asking how the economy personally affected the candidates. He, in turn, asking her a question.
Tell me how it's affected you again. You know people who lost their jobs and lost their homes.
Fast forward, and now millions of Americans will be watching this town hall tonight to see which of the two candidates connects the most. And Diane, a lot of people wondering how these 82 people were selected.
He's more suited to the 1950s than the 21st century. And Colorado, you've got to make sure it does not happen.
In Denver, at President Obama's first of 4 stops on a 2-day swing through the battleground state of Colorado, his normal stump speech gave way to talk about women's issues like mammograms and birth control.
I don't think politicians should control the care that you get. I think there's one person to make these decisions on health care, and that is you.
The visit comes as Obama has lost ground with both men and women in Colorado. A new poll by Quinnipiac University, CBS News, and the New York Times shows Obama with an 8-point lead among women here and a 17-point deficit with men. Compare that to 2008, when Obama carried women by 15 points in Colorado and lost male voters to John McCain by just a point. Hoping to shore up the women's vote, the Obama campaign is running this new ad in Colorado and other battleground states.
This is not the 1950s. Contraception is so important to women. It's about a woman being able to make decisions.
I don't remember anyone as extreme as Romney.
I'll cut off funding to Planned Parenthood.
And in Denver, Sandra Fluke appeared to rile up the crowd. The Georgetown University law grad went before Congress in February. She became famous when her support for the Obama administration's requirement that health insurance companies provide coverage for birth control earned her this rebuke from Rush Limbaugh.
It makes her a slut, right? Makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex.
Fluke had this message for the predominantly female crowd.
We have a candidate, President Obama, who understands the importance of women getting access to the care they need when they need it. And we must remember that we have another candidate, Mr. Romney, who wants to take all of that away.
The Obama campaign is downplaying those poll results that show overall Mitt Romney is ahead of President Obama by 5 points here in Colorado. A spokeswoman for the campaign saying they're not overly worried because they think Hispanics will play a larger role on Election Day than they do in the poll, and seniors will play a lesser role.
Yeah.